Hey there, Pirate Crew, and welcome to part one of this colored armor painting series. Today we are going to be painting yellow. So this yellow is a very simple scheme. I wanted to give you guys kind of the optimal ways of painting this. We're only going to be using 4 colors. We're going to be using Mournfang Brown from GW, Cygnus Yellow from P3, Nightshade Purple from Reaper Master Series, and then whatever your brightest white is. We started to figure off already with a black and white undercoating from a high angle, and what we're doing here is we're using Mournfang Brown thinned down to kind of a thin layer consistency, maybe like a heavy glaze consistency, and we're really being pretty liberal with our application of this. And our goal here is to maintain some of that underpainting, but to really get a nice rich brown color on, and let me explain why. As many of you guys know, if you mix in yellow with black, you get this kind of terrible greenish color, which really doesn't look like a nice pure yellow armor like we're going for today. And so how we are mitigating this is we are putting down these coats of brown. Now I'm only going to be putting 2 down. I want it to be enough, but I want there to still be highlights and shadows left over from that initial zenithal priming. This is a pretty speedy technique. All said and done, I think it took me about 25 minutes to get the armor portion of this model done. Of course, I edited some of it down and sped some of it up for the video, but the model in total, as you'll see at the end, only took me an hour to complete. For the series, I really wanted to focus on the armor, and that's what we are going to be showing you today. We are almost done with this first part. Another reason why I chose this brown is it's very warm. It's almost like an orangish brown. It has a lot of yellow and red in it already, and again, that helps us combat that black color quite well. And there's the miniature with the first coat. Okay, it's still kind of dry in there, but just so that you can kind of see how it looks after that first coat of paint has been applied. The other reason why I chose just a few amount of colors is just to keep the palette simplified. I'm finding more and more as I paint that the simpler the palette, the better. And there's a lot of things that we can overcome with even a simple palette. So for this next part, we're going to go ahead and speed this process up as I paint on this second coat. It's the exact same consistency. We just want to speed it up because I don't want to bore you guys too much with the same color in the same place. So on an additional technical note, what I am subtly trying to do here is I'm trying to push things away from the highlights. We want to leave some of those highlights intact. We really want to make those shadows nice and rich with this color so that in the preceding steps we don't get any of that odd neutral green color from any black. And there we go. There is all of the brown, just kind of doing a quick spin around for you guys before this next part. So and there it is even a little bit more clearly. For this next phase, this may sound a little bit unorthodox, but what we're going to be doing is we are going to be taking our airbrush or our rattle can, and we're going to be doing an additional zenithal priming coat. And this may seem a little bit odd to you or a little bit a little bit insane. I kind of thought it was when I was coming up with the technique, but what this does is that it reinstates our highlights. And if you guys have ever watched any of my color theory videos or anything like that, you guys will know that yellow is an extremely weak color. When we are putting it on white, which reflects all colors, we can get a very strong and saturated amount of that color. And so by putting this white on here, and then when we put that yellow on top of the white, we maintain those nice dark brown shadows, but we get an extremely vibrant, extremely bright yellow added onto this armor, which is what we are going for. And here we are coming in with the yellow. And as you guys can see, we're not fighting that black at all. And this yellow, it's really striking to me when I was editing this, how vibrant it comes up. Even in some of the shadow parts, you know, where I just kind of add that little bit of yellow feel, it really just pops off the model. And we get just an incredible amount of contrast extremely quickly from doing this. And I'm not worrying too much about if it pools or if it floods. We're going to take care of that in some following steps, as you guys will see. So, and again, in this situation, I'm trying to brush it more towards where the highlights are, so that that meaning, you know, I'm pushing the brush and lifting up where I want the highlights. And if you guys want more clarification on these techniques, watch the glazing and layering PyroMonkey Basics techniques videos. And just trying to get the majority of the model here. There's quite a few details that we're just kind of quickly going over, and again, we're going to address those in the future. But this paint is also very thin. I would say it's kind of a heavy glaze consistency. It's fairly thin, but it's not so thin, of course, that you're not seeing the color. So something else that I want to touch on, you guys, is, you know, here I am using a Space Marine, and I'm going to be using a Space Marine for all of them. I wanted to quickly talk about why I'm using a Space Marine. Space Marines are fantastic models for showing and displaying techniques. Of course, it has nothing to do with the Warhammer 40k universe. It's just that they are excellent subjects for displaying techniques. They have very broad, very even surfaces, and that being said, they're very simple shapes. And so what this allows me to do is very simply demonstrate these techniques for you in ways that I would have a difficult time doing with other models, perhaps Infinity, which would be a little bit harder to potentially film. But with that being said, these techniques are cross-applicable to any model that you would like to get a very strong yellow contrasted result, whether that be armor or cloth or anything like that. This is, I don't want you to read this as only being a Primaris Space Marine painting technique video. I want you guys to grab these techniques and kind of run with them across the board, just so that you're getting the maximum use out of these tutorials. I just wanted to address that really quickly, just so that, you know, people who play other game systems don't feel like I'm excluding them. But again, these Primaris Marines are just fantastic for teaching concepts because of the big, broad shapes. That is the first round of the yellow. As you guys can see right here, honestly, you could stop right there if you wanted to and just continue with the painting process. But we're going to go ahead and hop into a time lapse and do a second coat of this because I wanted that yellow to be even more intense. And yeah, this is essentially the same thing. I just kind of wanted to show you how I'm turning the model, how I'm approaching it. Keep in mind, you guys, and I talk about this in quite a few of my videos, but if this is your first one with us, I'm always turning the model to fit the brush and not the brush to fit the model. I'll still turn the brush, but only in very subtle, slight ways. This is great for a couple of reasons. A, it trains your fine motor skills to kind of get used to one type of action. And then also B, it will speed you up because you're only moving one thing instead of two. And you know, I remember early on in my painting career how I was turning both every which way, and I kept having problems. And then once I tuned into this, it really helped me out. So. And here we are coming back. What I did is I took the model off camera and I did a black base coat on anything essentially that wasn't going to be armor. And what this lets me do is this lets me check the level of contrast on the model, which is very, very important whenever we're doing any kind of technique that covers a lot of the surface of a model. It's kind of something that I stole from illustrators who work in Photoshop, where they will have a underlayer when they're doing their inking, and it allows them to see what's left or what's remaining on the model to paint, and it kind of clarifies what's going on with their piece. But what we're doing now is we are taking a 50-50 mix of Nightshade Purple and Mournfang Brown, and we are going through and we are outlining all of these armor shapes individually. And I prefer to do it this way because I feel like it gives me some more control over what I'm doing. Another way to go about doing this, and one that I may show in the future, is you could gloss or satin coat a model and then go around it with a pin wash, meaning that you are depositing the paint in. Because of the lack of surface tension, it's just kind of spreading through any of those inset details. So this is what I prefer. I like doing this because it helps me keep my brush control fresh, which is something that I find to be vitally important. If you're going faster, it's going to be a little bit more loose. It's going to not be quite as crisp or as clean, but if you can kind of slow down, it definitely will pay off, and the result is extremely nice. But with this being a hour model, painting, I wanted to paint the whole model in an hour. I really had to push and really go fast. And if you're painting an army, it's not going to be something that you're going to be too concerned about, to be completely honest. And if you're really wanting to go even faster, this is a step that you could entirely skip if you're wanting to, maybe only do like a half hour per model. And then here finally we're coming in and we're going to do a little bit of edge highlighting. I know that these angles got a little bit crazy, but hopefully you guys can see how the edge of the brush is impacting these surfaces. I really do like doing edge highlighting just because I find it to be fantastic for drawing out some of the final detail. It helps really clarify where things are in space, no matter what kind of background the model is on. And again, not trying to be perfect here, just trying to kind of, let whoever's looking at this model know, hey, this is an edge, this is armor, this is something that's kind of shiny, and that's why I do edge highlighting. I know sometimes edge highlighting can turn into one of those things where it's like, well, you do it because Games Workshop does, but the reason why I do it is because I want my viewer to know that the surface is hard and it's reflective. And again, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. These are extra details. These are extra bits of effort that I'm putting into this. And some of these I'm just drawing because it's easier. Again, all these things are really, really great for practicing your fine motor control. Once I get towards the end here, I'm going to show you guys what the final result looks like. And what I'm going to do for you guys is try to create some kind of PDF or article for Patreons only, going into some of the other colors that I use, some of the processes that I used, just so that way we can keep these videos focused on the colored armor, and then the other bits and bobs you guys can check out in another way. There is the final model. That's what we got done in an hour. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I know that it's a very fast technique. If you guys have any questions on how to do this yourselves, please let me know, as I want to make sure that this is a comprehensive and easy guide for you guys to paint this difficult color in the future. Thank you so much again for your support. I can't thank you guys enough. It is how I take care of my family and pay the bills. We will be coming back next month with the color red. If you guys use this technique and you want to share some of your own examples of painting yellow colored armor, anything yellow, just be sure to tag Pirate Monkey Painting on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or even post it up in the Pirate Monkey Painting Discord. And thank you guys all so much again. Bye.